Hey, it's the latest with Lay, and the topic of the day is let's break down a top 5 qualities that one would want in a man. So for me, from my perspective, some of the qualities that I'm looking for in a man and why, let me break those down. And you guys can let me know in the comments to which ones you agree to or not, as far as the reasoning as well. So first and foremost, in my man of choice, I am looking for loyalty. I list loyalty first because loyalty covers quite a few areas. Let's speak from the top to bottom, right? If one is loyal to you, it means that they are caring about the outcomes of your life. They're caring about your well-being. And they're also dedicated to helping for those outcomes to be positive for you and kind of contributing to that. And I feel like loyalty is just a feeling and a knowledge that, okay, this person is going to make sure that I'm good. And I can trust that they're going to have my back when times get hard. And that's important to have in a mate because, a lot of the times you could be dating guys and you don't really know what their intentions are. You don't know if they're just there just to hang out for a fling, for some sexual contact, just to dip in, dip out. But with loyalty, there's longevity associated with that. That is very, very important. So moving on, my next quality I want to highlight that I feel is important in a man and in a life partner is ambition. The reason I highlight ambition as the top 5 is because with ambition within your man, you are positive that they are thinking of their future, their own futures. They're conceptualizing, okay, what are my steps, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C to get to this outcome that I'm looking for my future. And it's a way of making sure that there's not complacency. I mentioned complacency in a previous video where I was talking about the fact that sometimes when you enjoy routine, you can become complacent. And so for me, I know that I am a person that does enjoy routine. I like to know expectations. I like to get in rhythm with things and follow patterns. And for me, the pitfall can become complacency. So in a mate of mine, I'm going to be looking for them to kind of counteract that for me and be my support system in continuing to propel forward, onward and upward. And so ambition is just the concept of always striving for more, striving for better, and improvement, which is exactly the opposite of complacency, right? So you don't want to get stuck jogging in place. You want to be moving towards something and improving every day. Okay, so moving right along. Another quality that I really find important is compassion. Okay, so I know for me personally, and you guys let me know in the comments, in my life partner, I value compassion. I want to make sure that the person that I spend my life with, is mindful of others, cares about others, is able to empathize with other people's circumstances, even if they haven't been in direct contact with that circumstance. So, if we break down, sympathizing versus empathizing, one can be sympathetic to your situation because they themselves have had that exact thing happen to them. So, if you have a loved one pass away, someone can be sympathetic to your loved one passing away because they've had someone in their life pass away. But to empathize is to not have had that happen to you, but still be able to show, some sort of comfort and care about someone else's situation, even if you haven't experienced it yourself. And so, with things like empathy, that's all associated with compassion. Someone who's compassionate is going to be kind. They're going to be thinking of others and conducting themselves in a way that doesn't negatively affect those around them. Obviously, there are going to be times where people have bad days, of course, but one who is compassionate is going to keep things at a baseline level at all times. And that's very, very important just for balance. I think a lot of the times as women, we are seeking someone to balance us. We walk around with lots of emotion, right? We are natural nurturers. We naturally think with how are others being affected, how are others feeling, and making sure that we're kind of uplifting those around us, and we can kind of get caught up in all of that, that weight and responsibility of always thinking of how everyone else is feeling and always nurturing and giving to everyone around you in every element of your life, whether it be in your personal life, at work, in your family, your friend group. And so having a significant other, making sure the man in your life is compassionate, that can help to kind of take some of that load off, take some of that emotional load off, and it'll ensure that he can see it in you, what you're pouring out into the world and into him, and in turn, he's going to give, some of that back. Now, obviously, compassion is going to be shown a little differently from a man, to the world versus a woman to the world, and that's perfectly fine. But as long as that man has the compassion, that's the key. And moving right along, another very, very important element that I would say a woman would benefit from, including myself, in a man and a life partner, is going to be intellectual decisiveness. Okay? I use those two words because they're both very important. So it's important that the man in your life is decisive, able to make decisions effectively, weigh pros and cons, weigh cost and benefits, right? What are the negative things associated with this decision versus the positive things associated with this decision, and then being able to effectively make a choice, right? And then live with that choice and do all the things associated with the decision that you made, and dealing with the consequences of this decision you made. And so the reason why I put in their intellectual decisiveness is because it's not only important that the man in your life be able to make decisions effectively, but to be able to make them from an intellectual standpoint. As I just previously mentioned, as women, we naturally, at times, can hold a lot of more emotion, and sometimes that can affect our decision making. Now, oftentimes that's going to be great because we're thinking of others as we make decisions. But if the man in our lives can help to bring a little bit of the intellectual strategy in decision making to you as a unit, it can help to make sure that there's a balance, right, in decision making and the direction that you all are headed as a unit. And so that's the reason why I chose intellectual decisiveness as a very important, quality that a woman should seek from a man in her life. Now, moving on, last but not least, the man in a woman's life is best that he is a leader. Okay? The reason I'm mentioning leadership is because, first and foremost, I'll let you know from experience, having a man that is a follower, and I'm not talking about on Instagram, but I'm talking about a follower in life, meaning that man doesn't necessarily, go with his own thought process. He is easily led and influenced by others around him to go this way and that way. That can be a hindrance and an issue. And so instead, in contrast, the best thing is to have a man that is a leader and sees his own vision through his own intellect, right? And through his own thought process of what's most strategic for him and his unit and his family and loved ones. And so for that reason, leadership is so key, because as a woman in my household unit, I'm going to be looking for my man to lead us to the promised land, if you will, right? To lead us in an optimal direction. But I can only trust the leadership if that man is an actual leader and not a follower. And so that's the reason why that is a very, very pinnacle characteristic of a man that I would deem to be very, very important and definitely top 5. So this has been a Latest with Lay, and I am signing off.